Welcome back to Verdicts Watch. In today's video, we examine a landmark decision from the United Kingdom that is drawing widespread attention and sparking global debate. The UK Supreme Court has issued a ruling in the case of For Women's Scotland Ltd versus the Scottish Ministers, a case that directly challenges how the law defines the terms man and woman under the Equality Act 2010. This is not merely a matter of technical language. It is a decision that touches upon the core of equality law, human rights, and the very way society understands gender. The ruling has far-reaching implications, not only for policymakers and campaign groups in Scotland, but also for legal systems and advocacy movements across the world. The origins of this case lie in ongoing debates over gender recognition in Scotland. For Women's Scotland Ltd, a campaign group focused on protecting sex-based rights, brought forward the legal challenge. They questioned the Scottish government's attempt to interpret the terms man and woman in a way that extended beyond biological sex. Their concern was that redefining these terms to include gender identity could create confusion in law, weaken existing protections for women, and fundamentally alter the balance of equality legislation. This set the stage for a conflict between two powerful legal and social principles: the safeguarding of women's rights and the recognition of transgender identities. At the center of the proceedings was a precise but profound legal question. Under the Equality Act 2010, should the words man and woman be interpreted strictly in terms of biological sex, or should they also be understood to include individuals who identify as transgender? This question may sound narrow, but its consequences extend far beyond legal dictionaries. It touches on employment rights, women-only services, public policy, and even the structure of gender equality initiatives. The court was therefore tasked with interpreting the law not just as written, but also as applied to the realities of modern society. For Women Scotland presented their arguments with urgency and clarity. They emphasized that biological definitions are not merely symbolic, but essential for safeguarding women's rights. According to them, expanding the definition of woman to include gender identity could dilute legal protections designed specifically for women in areas such as employment, healthcare, and access to women-only spaces. Their position was that rights established on the basis of biological sex must remain legally precise, or risk becoming unstable in practice. The Scottish government, however, advanced a very different view. Their lawyers argued that the law must evolve to reflect contemporary realities of identity and inclusion. For them, the recognition of transgender women within the legal category of woman was an essential part of achieving fairness, equality, and dignity for all citizens. They stressed that without this recognition, transgender individuals could face significant barriers in accessing rights and protections afforded under equality law. As the case advanced, the Supreme Court carefully reviewed not only the text of the Equality Act, but also prior legal interpretations and parliamentary intentions behind it. The proceedings highlighted the delicacy of the issue, balancing established sex-based rights with demands for inclusivity. The hearings were marked by detailed legal reasoning, extensive references to statutory language, and recognition of the sensitive social context in which this case unfolded. After careful deliberation, the Supreme Court reached its conclusion. In a unanimous judgment, the justices ruled that under the Equality Act 2010, the words man and woman refer specifically to biological sex and not to gender identity. This verdict provides clarity in legal language, but simultaneously reignites social and political debate. It is now clear that, at least in the eyes of the law, sex and gender identity are not interchangeable terms. The verdict prompted strong and immediate reactions. Supporters of the ruling celebrated it as a vital step toward protecting women's rights and ensuring legal certainty. Opponents, however, viewed it as a setback for transgender recognition, expressing concern that the judgment could marginalize vulnerable communities. Outside the court, both supporters and critics gathered, reflecting the polarized public sentiment surrounding this issue. The implications of this case extend beyond the borders of the United Kingdom. Across Europe, North America, and beyond, lawmakers and advocacy groups are closely analyzing this decision. For some, It sets a precedent worth following. For others, it serves as a cautionary tale. Gender law remains one of the most contentious legal subjects of our time, and this judgment will likely be cited in global discussions on equality and human rights. For Scotland in particular, the ruling adds complexity to ongoing debates about gender recognition reform. The Scottish government's efforts to introduce gender self identification laws may now face new legal and political obstacles. This decision forces Scotland to reconsider its legislative approach, balancing aspirations for inclusion with the constraints imposed by the Supreme Court's interpretation of UK law. Beyond the immediate legal outcome, this case highlights unresolved questions that will continue to shape future debates. How should laws balance biological realities with lived experiences of gender? Can equality be fully realized without undermining sex-based protections? And how can societies navigate these discussions without deepening divisions? The ruling provides one answer, but the broader conversation is far from settled. The UK Supreme Court's ruling in for Women's Scotland Ltd versus the Scottish Ministers will be remembered as a turning point in the legal and social debate over sex and gender. Whether welcomed or criticized, it compels policymakers, campaigners, and citizens alike to confront the complexity of law, rights, and identity in a changing world. This was Verdict Watch, bringing you in-depth analysis of the cases shaping our societies. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to guiding you through the next verdict that defines our times.